Here's another unit conversion problem, and it starts out fairly simple. We need to convert a state plane coordinate position from its metric native units to U.S. survey feet. Well, let's say you set out to do this, but instead you used international feet by mistake. Well, that's not going to be the same result. So, how big is that mistake? So, we need to find that out. How big is the conversion error? Okay, that's our goal. We got to find that out. Okay. Well, let's jump in then. Our state plane coordinate that we have listed here is 123,497,017 meters. In the northing, and the easting is 506,228.399 meters. Okay? Now, this may not look like the state plane coordinates in your state, but there are many other states, well, all the other states have their own systems, and the origin values on their central meridians don't always agree from place to place. They can be very unique. So these are realistic numbers. Well, let's talk about first the relationship between U.S. survey feet and international feet. Okay? Let me see if I can get this to scroll down. Here we go. The two numbers to remember here are 12 inches per foot, and we're going to divide that by 39.37 inches per meter. Okay? If we start with this for U.S. survey feet, that's simply going to be 0.3048 006096, and of course it carries on. This is meters per U.S. survey foot. Well, the international foot starts the same way, 12 divided by 39.37, except we truncate the values to exactly 4 places. That's not rounded. That is truncated. This is the number of meters per international foot. There are a handful of states that in their state plane coordinate systems don't use U.S. survey feet. They use international feet. So, you will often see this conversion built into your data collection software, and therefore it's important to know the difference. All right, so let's convert first to international feet, because that's what you did by mistake. Let's see how that looks. So we take our northing, and we come up with 123,497,017. If we're going to convert this, we're going to divide it by 0.3048. And we're going to do the same thing with the easting, 506,228,399 divided by 0.3048. And in my case here, I come out with 405,173.94. Over here, I get 1,660,854.33. That's in international feet. Okay, well, let's compare that to our U.S. survey foot versions of the same point. So that's really a couple of different addresses for the same point in the ground, correct? Well, let's clear that off and let's go up and take a quick look and see what we have. When I do this in U.S. survey feet, here's my northing once again, 123,497,017. And this time, rather than show those 10 places, I'm going to simply say it's times 39.37 divided by 12. Does that make sense for you? Easting, 506,228,399 times 39.37 divided by 12. And this time, we're going to get slightly different values. That should come as no surprise. 405,173.13. Here we get 1660851.01. This is in U.S. survey feet. So, let's look at the differences. If I look at the difference in the northing and the easting, and let's start with international minus U.S. Is it okay with you if I just use the last couple places before the decimal for clarity? Let's do that. I get 173.94, which was my northing with international feet, and I subtract what I get for U.S. survey feet, and I get 173.13. And then the same thing on the easting. I've got 854.33 minus 851.01, and that's going to give me a shift in the northing of 0.81 feet and a shift in the easting of 3.32 feet. Well, that's a pretty significant mistake, isn't it? As we convert from international feet to U.S. survey feet, we can have that kind of shift. And you might think, really? How is that? Well, on state plane coordinate systems, just a little heads up here on a state plane coordinate system. If I draw Illinois here, this is a very crude version of Illinois. You get the idea though, right? Well, the central meridian of the east zone looks like this. And it's got some false easting and zero northing out here, but the 0 point is clear outside the state. So if I am using the wrong conversion, I'm really taking a point up here, and I'm changing the easting, and I'm changing the northing values based on a different definition of the foot. So, little rule of thumb here that you might be able to use someday. Let's see if I compare 2 mile distances. 1 mile distance measured in the U.S. survey foot compared to a mile in the international foot. That's 1 mile in the international foot. That difference is about 1/100th of a foot. So, over long distances, this accumulates pretty significantly. And in our example here, it was 0.81 by 0.332. It could be smaller in some zones and much, much greater in others. So, simple little application problem of two different versions of the foot that look similar, but they certainly are not.